So as a platform whole, we connect to different data sources like PLCs, SCADA systems, IoT devices. Move that data into the Canary Historian database, which can be on-prem or can be hosted in the Canary cloud. And then have applications such as Axiom that reach back and connect to the Canary Historian. Axiom itself installs with the core being installed on the Historian machine. This gives a lot of advantages. One, all of your users then connect to the core itself, and they have the option to do that between either a web browser or through a Windows application. This means that all of the computing is actually done at the core, not at the client level. And any type of dashboard application or charts that are created and saved are actually saved at the core. From an admin perspective, this means you have a single location to back up. All of your users are able to have public and private directories on the Axiom core, and makes for very nice application and chart organization and storage. All right, hopping back over, restart. If you'd like to go and do a demo later on of everything that I'm going to show you, you can actually access Axiom for a full demo from our website. You can simply go to the main site, scroll down the page, and right here, try Axiom now, launch a live demo. All the username and credentials you need for the demo are provided for you. Simply hit login. I'd like to be able to save some charts and applications which are disabled in the demo, so I'm going to log in using my own credentials. When you log in for the first time, you'll be automatically taken to the application called Introduction to Axiom. This is meant to do a tutorial, so each screen across the top, if you begin the tutorial, will start at basics, where it'll take you step by step on everything I'm going to show you today, and you'll end up in a full-page trending mode in which you can use as a sandbox and explore and try out for yourself. So we'll start here, and we're going to start by choosing to add trends. From the trend page, I have access to all the tags that are inside of the Historian, which is titled Axiom Live. Within the Historian, I have several different data sets, and I can explore each data set and the tags that are in it simply by clicking it. I can search through my tag list. In this case, I'm looking for dissolved oxygen tags, and I'm going to bring all three onto my trend chart. My Axiom chart is loaded. I have defaulted my chart to have scales only on the right-hand side. Across the bottom, I have my time navigation. Currently looking at 8 hours of time. I'll place that into live mode by pressing the play button. And I can see that I have a live time of 11:24 on June 13th. 8 hours later, 3:24 a.m., June 13th. If I'd like to change the time, I simply click. I can enter my own custom time, for instance, 1 day. And I can also use hotkeys. So in this case, 7 and D for day autofills my day. And I have 7 days of data coming across the screen. I have the ability to select dates and time. We'll do midnight. We keep track of the recent time periods that have been entered, as well as any defaults. We'll go back to 1 hour. So on screen, we have 1 hour starting at midnight on June the 9th. If I put it back into play mode, it comes back to live. Across the top, I have 3 different menus. What we call the tri-bar menu, which offers loading, saving charts, loading assets and events, setting options for charts, legends, and doing data statistics and export. We have the trend menu. The trend menu shows me the trends that are on screen, allows me to select a trend or multiple trends, and go through all of the trend properties, as well as add and delete trends. And then finally, we have cursor mode. Cursor mode gives me the ability to choose between standard cursor, deltas, zooms, and annotations. I'll demonstrate this. First, we'll go out to 3 days of data. And we'll start with the delta. I'll pull a delta from the top of this peak to the following peak. And I can see that I did about 1 day and 4 minutes of delta difference. And it looks like a difference of 5.03 to 4.98, so 5/100ths. I can do this as many times as I'd like on screen. And when I'm finished, I can change my mode. Zoom mode works in the same way, except instead of pulling a delta, it will zoom in to the highlighted section, allowing me to explore my chart, isolate specific areas, and then just as quickly go back in time using the undo feature to the left. On the left-hand side and the right-hand side are directional arrows. This will move the data either to the left or to the right. And I can click it multiple times to have it play back automatically, stopping it where I prefer. Again, I have my undo feature that will move me back to my last action. Lastly is the annotate mode. With annotations, I can choose anywhere on the chart. We'll pick the peak of the blue trend, and I can leave custom annotations. Once I've left an annotation, the note comes up on the trend, and it actually gets written back to the historian. This is great because now any other user that ever trends this tag in this time range will see that annotation. Others can add to the annotation. As you can see, it's both time-stamped and audited, the user that left that. Later on, when I do custom reporting, all of the annotated data is available through reports. Each of these cursors have hot buttons, so Alt-C, D, Z, and A can move me in between them. Alt-C to go back to cursor mode. I'd like to show you the ability to create aggregated data, and to do that, I first want to save this chart. I'll save it in my private directory. I'm going to call this one Crash Course Dissolved Oxygen. Now that it's saved, I can see the name across the top. I'm going to go ahead and load the other chart, my aggregate chart. This aggregated chart is showing the same tag twice. I look at my legend down below and I see that I'm looking at the tag from the wastewater directory inflow average. I'm looking at 3 days of chart time from June 9th backwards to June 6th, midnight to midnight. Both trends are showing raw data, and I'm going to use aggregates so that I can begin to slice up the raw data into time intervals that make more sense. So to do this, I'll right-click on the trend that I'm interested in editing. That is the shortcut so that my trend icon menu comes up. It's already selected the tag that I right-clicked on. And I'll use my general menu under the properties, and I'm going to use an aggregated interval of 4 hours. 4H for hours. And the default aggregate is time average. So what's happened is all of the values in each of these 4-hour time intervals has been averaged to create a time average in 4-hour buckets. I'll right-click again, This time I'm going to change it to a maximum value. There are over 30 aggregates in total. They're all standard OPC aggregates. You can see now with my maximum, I've run the highest point, supposed to be 512, in that 4-hour time bucket. I'll go ahead and band these two together. To band them together, I click on the scale. Then I click on the scale that I'd like to band it to. I have the option to link both the bands and the scales, or just the bands. I'll do bands and scales. Now we can see how the maximum aggregate works. Do one more. This time we'll do the max min. So in each 4-hour time bucket, I have both the minimum value and the maximum value being trended. To undo the scales that I've just bound together, simply click on the scale again and hit the unlink. If I'd like to undo the aggregate, select the tag, go back to a 0 in time, and choose whether you want the time average drawing or the min-max drawing. We were using time average drawing. We'll look at another feature. I'm going to link the scales. Now we have both scales on top of each other. You can see with the cursor bar that I have both red and blue values. That tells me that there's data underneath the red pin. If I shifted the order of draw, I would begin to see the blue tag first. This time we will take the inflow in blue. I'm going to change the display name and call it 7 days ago. Now I'm going to do a time shift. And Joe, 7 days ago is my time shift. And so now I'm seeing the difference between live data, or I shouldn't say live data, but current data in red. And then blue is now showing 7 days previous. If I wanted to perform a calculation, I have the ability by using my trend menu, which I can get to again with the right click, of add or editing a calculation. We'll call it delta 7 days. It's an easy enough equation. I will use my trend list and take the current inflow average and just subtract it from 7 days ago. A new pin is then drawn on the screen, and it is the difference between these two values. So when the two values are nearly the same, you'll see the difference is minimal, and as the values change, as does the difference. If I'd like to set any type of limits, I can. We'll do a limit on the red inflow average, and we'll set a high limit at 400. We'll change the color and fill, and we'll make the fill a little bit lighter. Finally, I'll also add a limit line, again at 400. And choose whether it be dash, dot, or solid. I can create as many limit lines as I'd like for both high and low limits, and of course we can add low limits as well. Let me go ahead and bring back our dissolved oxygen chart. We'll do a chart load. And I'm curious to know a weekly average on this data. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timeframes. And we'll pick 7 days. So I have previous week's full data set. I'll use my try-bar menu and come to statistics. I'll select all 3 tags and hit calculate. The statistics feature is going to give me everything from the sample count to my validity score, which is the quality of the data as transferred from the OPC server. Sums, means, mins, and maxes for all 3 pieces of data. Standard deviation, as well as my 25th, 50th, and 75th percentiles. When I'm finished this, I can simply hit back or close the window. Also, under the try-bar menu in the data section is our data export feature. I'll select all 3 tags, hit next, and name my export. Change my sample interval if I'd like, choose whether I should include the quality, adjust my start and stop times if I wanted to, hit OK, and it'll export this 7 days worth of data, 1 second intervals as a CSV file. That CSV file can then be opened and used in Excel to power any other type of reporting that I'd like to do. So in this example, we did 1 second data for 3 tags over 7 days. So that's about 86,000 updates per day times a total of 21 days worth of data. It's taken a little bit of time for my download, but once that opens up, we can use Excel to begin to take a look at the data. I should also note that there is an Excel add-in tool available that Canary has created, which allows you to open Excel and reach out for the data directly to the historian. It saves the step of loading the trend and exporting the data. There will be a crash course coming up in that shortly. Now it's downloaded, and we have our data. My Excel decided to stop responding. There it goes. We'll clean it up. And the only thing left to do is format the timestamp. We'll want to add the seconds since I asked for 1 second data. And there we have it. Starting June the 2nd at midnight, Basin 1 DO, Basin 2 DO, Basin 3 DO, as well as the quality score for each. Keep in mind, quality score comes standard. It does not consume an extra tag in our historian. It's something that's standardized. So it looks like we have quite the Excel sheet here, over 600,000 updates. All right. So that's an overview of the trending tool. I want to show you the dashboarding piece as well. The dashboarding piece is how we've actually built this template. So the entire template is done inside of Axiom. And the dashboard editor sits right here behind the pencil. So when I go into the editor, the 4 options that I have are screens, which you can see each screen name across the top. If I add a new screen, it comes on here. Clicking on it takes me to the screen. Each screen has its own set of controls. We'll build out a panel, which acts as a container. And it's just drag and drop. On that panel, I want to place a trend graph. As well as we'll do some donut gauges. I like to do a donut gauge. Get a little larger. There we go. And we'll give the donut gauge a label. Perfect. Now, once I have my controls in place, I also have a tree, which allows me to sort the order and associate items to panels and other containers. What I will be doing is taking my property for each of these features. So the trend graph, I will associate a chart name to that trend graph, and I'll use the dissolved oxygen chart that we've already saved. For my donut gauge, I have properties like the location, width, and source tag. I'll set the source tag to my dissolved oxygen. We'll change the scale to stop at 10. I'd like to put a high limit at 5. So I can now see while I'm in the editor, live data, high limit, anything over 5, running the scale of 10. And I think we'll go ahead and dial the scale back to 7. I'll click on the label, adjust the size, same thing here on the properties. We'll go to large and center, and this label will be Basin 1 video. Now, if I wanted to create copies of this, I just use my control and multi-select. Then I can just copy and paste. And I have very easily created templates. I can select a different tag, in this case Basin 2, change the label, and do Basin 3. I'll manually edit the tag name here because I already know it. And make the change here. I can create as many of these as I would like, and then I can save the screen or the application once I've created all the changes I want. Last thing I'm going to do, I want to rename the tab. So I'll click on the actual screen itself, and I will change the name to Dashboard. All of these features allow for scripting as well, so that if I wanted to script some type of action when someone clicks on this gauge, that can be done on either value change or on click. All the scripting is C# and can be actually done right within the application. Once I'm finished, hit X to shut the editor or close the editor screen. The save icon has appeared, and if I'd like to save this, I choose whether it's in the read-only, the public, or the private directory. I'll save it read-only. Do I want to overwrite? Yes. And we're there. So I have essentially created a new screen in about 3 to 5 minutes time. I put some nice KPIs on the screen. My operators and users can now see dissolved oxygen. They can interact within this just like we did on the full page of trending. And they can create anything that they would like for their own use. When they're done, they can save it privately, publicly, or read-only. And again, it saves back onto the Axiom core. So from an admin perspective, I can back up a single directory every night, and I don't have to worry about managing a bunch of different files on a bunch of different computers. That will conclude our Axiom demo for the crash course. I'd invite anyone that's interested to please contact us. You will get a follow-up email after this that will have both the recording to share with colleagues, as well as my contact information. We do one-on-one Axiom training throughout the week. We would love to talk to you more about Axiom, as well as provide any type of demo software you might need if you currently don't have Axiom. Again, my name is Jeff Knepper with Canary Labs. We greatly appreciate your participation today, and welcome the opportunity to show you Axiom in the future.